Hello, welcome to practice for today. Today we're going to start with Wuji stance, which is your basic but most profound movement to start with. And then we're going to move into a few other movements that can help with the liver and kidney specifically. My thoughts behind this are that we can help our bodies get rid of some toxins throughout the holiday season, whether they be alcohol or whether they be food and all different things, right, to help us be more healthy throughout the flu season. So today we're going to start with Wuji stance, and I'd like for you to step with your feet gently hip width apart. Not going to be real far, not going to be real close, but we're just going to step slightly apart. And then we're going to rise through the top of our head with like a ribbon. I like to think of tying a ribbon to my hair and kind of giving just a soft, gentle tug to straighten that ribbon. So as the head elevates, the tip of the tongue is going to go flat to the roof of the mouth, just behind the teeth, and rest there. Your shoulders are going to softly drop down onto the rib cage. And then you're going to drop your tailbone down like a plumb line is hanging from it. So if you were to tie a ribbon to your tailbone, and then at the bottom of that ribbon, there's a small weight there. So that's going to gently pull. And what that is going to do is as soon as you do that, you're going to feel just a soft, subtle bend in the knees. It's not like really big, right? So, but we want to have that soft, subtle bend in the knees as we're dropping the tailbone. And then the knees are going to go just over our toes as well and facing outward. So we're going to have some people, especially women, might have a tendency to want to go in with the knees. I actually noticed this myself in the practice, and it was profound because it's just an ever so slightly adjustment in the knee, but it helps a lot tremendously to keep our body in line from the bottom down. And then as we feel our weight go down into our feet, feel ourselves rooted on the ground. This is Wuji stance. And I apologize, I missed our shoulders. The shoulders are going to drop down on the ribs, and we're going to raise just gently our arms up like a quail, and put a little quail egg underneath each one. And so let those rest. So your arms aren't pressed to your side or out. So I'll walk through that one more time, and then we're just going to hold it for a few moments. So elevate through the top of the head. The shoulders are going to drop down onto the top of the ribs. The arms are going to gently have a little space under the armpit. And then the pelvis is the tailbone is going to drop to the floor with like a plumb line. The knees are going to go over the feet, and the toes are going to point out forward. This is Wuji stance. Now I'm going to invite you to just tune into your breath for a moment and stand here and feel the subtle little shifts and movements in your body as you breathe in and out. And I'm going to invite you to tune into breathing from your belly. You might notice areas of discomfort, and we'll just tune into the breath even more in those places. You might notice slight rocking back and forth on your feet, and that's okay. Just find your center. A lot of people think you need to stand rigid and hard, but with this, we're just going to get a little bit of movement. And I want your body to remember this, because with each stance we do moving forward, we are going to start and end here. So your body knows that we're finishing and we're starting. And we get a nice foundation to start with. Perfect. Wonderful. So next, I want to move into standing snake body. So a standing snake body, or horizontal circles as well. What we're going to do is we're going to raise our arms up. Now I want you to stay rooted in your hips, right? And have that nice foundation. We're going to raise our arms up. If this is too uncomfortable, we don't want to go eye height. We want to go about chest height. So, but if this is too uncomfortable, I want you to start even lower to begin with. Is what we tend to do with this is we'll want to like throw our back out of place in different ways to compensate for lifting our arms. And we don't want to do that here. So wherever it is comfortable for you, back into Wuji stance, knees slightly outward. And what we're going to do is we're going to shift our abdomen to one side and then to the other side. Just your stomach. The focus is going to come mostly from the stomach. Slight movement in the hips to accommodate, and slight movement in the shoulder. But generally, you want it right from here. So your stomach is going to turn. Now, as your arms are out, they're already starting to kind of gently move. So we're going to shift our arms. My stomach is going one direction and my arms are going to go the other direction. And then we're going to bring them in, our hands in towards our chest, and we're going to go out as the stomach turns to the other side. I noticed right there I had a little too much movement in my hips, right? So I'm adjusting as well. So just kind of staying in here. So then we're going to rotate out forward and in. And you might notice your shoulders want to rise a little bit. Just drop them down. Then breathe as your abdomen turns to one side and the hands turn to the other. You're doing great. This is a lot of upper body movement, so just remember to draw them down. You want your elbows to be soft and slightly bent. Don't want them straight, right? You don't want them super bent unless that's where we can get right now, and that's okay. Sometimes I tend to kind of go back and forth a little bit, but I usually have a little bit more bend. Perfect. Now, this time I want you to shift your hips to the other side and your arms to the other side, and we're going to do the opposite version. Going in the other direction. Watching those hips so that they don't rise up and lock your knees in, keeping them bent. Moving from the abdomen first. This is a lovely massage for your stomach and your digestive system. Help move those Thanksgiving dinners through, or whatever kind of dinner you're having. Perfect. Now, let's just drop our arms down. Wuji stance, elevate through the top of the head, shoulders drop, arms slightly up, hip, tailbone down to the ground, knees out, and shake our arms out just a little bit. So next, we are going to go into the water element and the kidney. So with the water element and the kidney, what we're going to do is we're going to place the back of our hand on our lower back, right where the kidneys rise in the back, or the kidneys set, sorry. And as we set our hand there on our back, we're going to take our other hand, and I like to think of holding a shallow bowl or a small bowl in my hand, and I'm going to scoop forward just across the midline, and then I'm going to bring my hand up, and it's going to rotate at the very top, and I'm going to drop my water and water all the plants on the ground. And so we're going to come back through, right? So we're going to scoop up. Now with this, again, staying rooted in your knees, soft bend to the knees, and we're going to keep the movement from the abdomen and rib cage, from the kidney areas. In fact, you can even tune in and feel your back as it moves while your hand is resting on your back. Doing great. Let's do two more, right? And I'm noticing a little bit more movement coming from my shoulders, which is kind of okay, but we want to keep it more so from the stomach. Good. Now let's switch to the other side. So we're going to take your other hand, back of the hand, place it on the lower back, right? Wuji stance, firmly rooted, elevating through the top of the head. This is a very good trick for me. Whenever I feel myself having some discord or some issues, I will literally feel that pull from my tailbone and then the top of the head and elongate my spine, and it helps with a lot of discomfort. So anyways, we're going to take our hand, cup that bowl again, and we're going to draw through and forward to across, just gently across the midline of the body and back. Now with this movement, I like to have a soft gaze on my hand. You don't have to follow it hard, and you don't have to make a big movement, because then that'll cause too much movement in our body. We just want a soft, subtle movement. And if at any time any of these are difficult, you can literally move this like this and soften it until you're ready to start opening it up. Because this opens up our chest, and it also puts a nice little twist in the spine, which I really like as well too. I like to feel it, or it's my spine articulating, moving with each other. Beautiful. Awesome. We're going to come back to Wuji stance. Elevate through the top of the head, tongue on the tip of the roof of the mouth, shoulders dropping down, tailbone dropping like a plumb line to the ground, and firmly rooted in, and knees just gently out. So next we are going to do touching the feet to strengthen the low back. There's a few different variations of this. I am going to start with a modified version on this one first, and then I'm going to move to the next level and show you the options. If you're new to any kind of working out or movement like this, please start with the first one, because I too don't do the extended one quite much myself yet, just because I want to make sure that I protect my back, because this strengthens our low back. So if you have low back issues like I have had in the past, this really helps as well too. But we want to start with a modified, do that for like a month, and then move up as well in time. So next we're going to Wuji stance again. Just allow your body to like realign and soften up again. Now with this one, we're going to bring the hands up to start with, and then we're going to bring the hands down and cup like a teacup, and it's going to just come down over the kidneys, our hands, the palm of our hands, and we're going to brush the hips and down through the knees. This here's the modified version for right now. Now, if this is too much, you can keep it here at eye length if that works better. And then you bring it in, and then you're going to turn your hands, cup the back, the hips, the thighs, and then we reach out. Now, with this movement, as you're doing it, I want you to think of sitting back in a chair. And this is also another space where that elongation of the spine, where we pull from the tailbone. And I always love to think of pulling up the top of my head as I bend. So we want to make sure that we do that. We're moving from the legs to protect our low back. And the legs help give our back a solid foundation. And then breathe. Work with your breath. Out. Breathing in on the down. And out. Good. Again with the modified, bringing it lower. All work very well. Go with what works best for you. Awesome. Now this will really start to engage, if you're doing it properly, will engage your thighs and your hamstrings. So we're going to give them a little nice shaking out. Shake each one out a little bit. I like to kind of do little hands and everything. So now we're going to finish up with the wood element, which helps our liver, right? Liver and kidneys do the detoxification of the body. So they're getting out all the fluids and all the trash, if you will. They're kind of like the trash compactor of the body. So with the next one, we are going to do the liver. I had to think for a minute. So with this one, Wuji stance again, elevate through the top of the head, shoulders resting down on the ribs, arms just slightly off to the side with a little bit of space. Pelvis is dropping down, knees are coming out over the toes are facing forward. Get a nice foundation there for you. Now with this one, we're simply going to raise our hands palm up to our sides. This is one of the most important parts of this, actually. It's right where we're starting. So I want you just to take for a moment and kind of brush your sides. Even hear it. Like, hear the movement. What this is doing is gently rubbing and massaging your liver and also your stomach on the other side. Right, so they both get a little bit of love. Now what we're going to do is we're going to just do one hand to start with, and I want you to rotate to palm down. Again, keeping it just at chest. It does not have to be high. This one we actually kind of want to keep a little low, and then we're going to bring it in. Now let's do our other hand. Out, palm, rotate to palm down, and then in, out, and then in, out, and then in. Now we're going to run them both with a fluid motion. You're doing great. I'm already starting to feel the warmth kicking in. Sometimes I get cold, sometimes I get warm. Now with this, there's one more element I'd like you to add in. So I like to think of holding those bowls in our hand, and I like to think of kind of tossing water back and forth, right? And what we're going to do is we're going to gently meet in the middle, and we're going to pour that water in, and we're going to stretch to the next. I even went a little too high there. So stretch, brushing the sides of the ribs, rotating, dumping the water, and stretching. Eyes are a soft gaze out over the horizon. Now I'm even noticing there's certain times where I tend to reach just a little far, and that's putting me out. So I want to make sure that I stay rooted in my Wuji stance and then draw back in and just extend in a soft gaze. So just notice for yourself where you're at, breathing, and just let your arms start to flow. Sometimes I even close my eyes so I can be more in my body and see where it's at. Beautiful. Awesome. And just drop your hands down. Step back into your, make sure you're in your Wuji stance. Take a nice inhale and exhale. And now we're going to close out. And as we close out, I want you to take and scoop your hands up. Again, modified version. And you can bring them here to your center line and down. This is a modified version. And then once you start to feel like you're getting a little bit stronger with your arms and shoulder strength especially, and you can stay in that foundation, we bring it to a nice pull and down. And you don't have to follow. I kind of like to sometimes, but the intentions are bringing this down. What we're doing is all the energy, all the things that we've worked with today, we're bringing it back into our center line and grounding us. We want to stay with more of a downward gaze with that, right? And then if we're bringing the arms up, be sure that you're not throwing your back or doing anything like that. You want to stay rooted so that you can stay straight. Pull up through the top of the head and down through the tailbone to the ground as well. This will help close out any of your practices. If you're having anxiety throughout the day and you need to calm yourself, even if you're out in public, you can just do a nice little gentle, and your body will know what you're doing. Breathing in, and let's just hold here in your center for a moment. Nice inhale and exhale. And I'd like to thank you for your time today, and I send you many blessings, light, and love through the holiday season or whatever season you may be in. And I hope these help for you to get your body flowing and moving in the future.